y'all, thanks so much for stopping back by my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Lori Livers and I'm glad to have you. Today's video is about buying houses, but more specifically, today's video is about what house not to buy ever. There are a couple of deal breakers for me, and if I come across any of these deal breakers, I will not buy the house no matter what. I don't care if the numbers say that money is just going to rain down on me from the sky. I am not buying this house. Let me tell you what kind of house that is. So I talk about on my channel all the time about how I buy distressed homes. And by distressed homes, I mean homes that have not been maintained over the years. They're typically older homes. They have foundation problems. They have roof problems. They have plumbing problems, electrical problems. They have problems. And I mean problems. So just about anything does not scare me off from a house, because I can see what it's going to be when I'm done with it. And I can see how it's going to be a great addition to my portfolio, because it's going to create cash flow for me. It's going to create forced appreciation on day one when my rehab is done. It's going to create long-term appreciation. So I am really not afraid of much when it comes to choosing a house to put into my portfolio, if it meets my criteria. But if I cannot get a clear title on that house today, then I will not consider buying a house if everything else lines up and is absolutely perfect, but it doesn't have a clear title. I'm not buying that house, and let me tell you why. If you can't get a clear title on your property, you cannot refi cash out of it. And if you can't pull your money back out of a property, then you can't repeat the process with that money on another house, and a house after that, and a house after that. The final R of the BRRRR strategy stands for repeat. And so the only way this works for me is to do it over and over and over and over again. If there's a title issue that's going to take any amount of time, I am not closing on that house. I am not purchasing a house under any type of creative sales type agreement that does not immediately transfer the title to that house to me. It's just not worth it. So that is my absolute first deal breaker in eliminating a property for any further consideration to be added to my portfolio. No title, I'm not buying it, no matter what. Now my next deal breaker is a little controversial. I will not buy a house with people living in the house. I don't care what the circumstances are, I will not do it. Where other investors do this all the time and they have no problem with it, and it's not a deal breaker for them. The reason it is a deal breaker for me is that, number one, I don't want to be responsible for putting people out of a house that they don't want to move out of. And so if you have people living in the house who are not the people that you're buying the house from, that is very often the case in my experience. And I want to be able to sleep at night knowing that I bring a good quality product to the market, that I'm doing a good thing for the world around me, that I am acting responsibly in my communities that I invest in. And I do not want to be the cause of somebody having to leave a home that they do not want to leave. So I absolutely will not buy a house with people living in it. I won't buy a house with people living in it, even if there is a leaseback circumstance involved in the deal. So what leaseback means is if somebody's living in the house and they need some time to move after you buy the house, usually because they need the money that they receive at the time of sale to be able to move on, then they will include what's called a leaseback clause in the purchase agreement that says they will pay you such and such amount for rent for 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is, after the day you close, so that they have time to collect the money, if they're the ones that are going to be selling the house and collecting the money, and use that money to find another home to move to. Now, in theory, it doesn't sound that bad, but let me tell you why I will never consider a leaseback circumstance. The most important reason is that I don't know who those people are. I have not run any background checks on them. I've not run any credit checks on them. I have no idea if these people would even qualify to be tenants in one of my properties. I know nothing about them. And I am a very responsible landlord that is very careful about the people that I place in the communities that I invest in, because those communities mean a lot to me, and I want to be successful long term. If I just willy-nilly slap anybody into a house without knowing anything about them, I am potentially setting myself up for problems in the future. So number one, I don't know anything about those people living in that house, and I'm not about to enter into any type of lease agreement that I don't know who I'm working with. Number two is that if the person living in the house is not a party to the sale and they don't want to leave, I have almost immediately created a squatter situation. And I don't want to go through the legal expense or even the emotional toll of having to kick people out of a home that they don't want to leave. That is a type of circumstance that weighs on me so heavily that I just absolutely will not even consider it. I am not going to enter into a leaseback situation with people that I don't know would even qualify to lease the house. And I am not going to be the person responsible for making somebody move from a home that they don't want to leave. So for those reasons, I am not ever going to buy a house that comes with people already living in it. It's just an absolute deal breaker for me. Won't do it. So the short, simple recap of this video is don't ever consider adding a property to your portfolio that does not come with a clear title on day one and has anybody living in the house. It's just not a way to get started with that property. It's not a good way to set yourself up for success, in my opinion. I use the BRRRR strategy to grow my rental portfolio, create my future wealth, create my current cash flow that I live on day to day. But sometimes, even if the numbers look perfect on paper, the deal just doesn't make sense. If it doesn't come with a clear title today and it has people living in it, it doesn't matter what the numbers are. It doesn't matter if it meets all my other criteria, because those are immediate deal breakers for me. That deal just won't work. So I'm going to add a video at the end of this one. If you haven't seen my BRRRR recap video, it's actually titled Repeat, because that's where I break it down really quickly. So it's not a big time investment. If you're curious about the strategy, watch that video after this one, and you'll be able to see exactly how I use this strategy to grow my portfolio and create that cash flow that allowed me to leave my 9-to-5 behind. It's been such a great positive impact on my life, and it could be for you too. I hope that sounds interesting. If so, please do hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can be notified of all the future videos coming your way. And also click that thumbs up button. Let me know that you enjoyed seeing this type of video. Let me know if you enjoy hearing about what the deal breakers are. A lot of times people tell you about all the things that go well, and they don't tell you about all the things that you might want to stay away from. So I want to share everything with everybody, the whole story, the whole picture, the whole enchilada. So hit that thumbs up button. Drop it down into the comments and tell me, what would be your deal breaker? What would you absolutely not consider in looking at a property to potentially add to your portfolio? Or, just say hi. That's cool too. Until next time, bye y'all.